And with me on my left, for those of you who don't know, is George Marcello, who has literally walked across Canada trying to bring awareness to the critical importance of organ donations. George has been at this for over 20 years, I think, and George is a liver transplant recipient himself, but he has led a relentless fight to on behalf of other people who need organ donations. So George has been a remarkable champion for people in need of organ donations. And by the way, it looks like George is saying this is his last hurrah, that he's been doing this for so long. He's got to make a living, and so therefore he probably won't be doing much more of this, but he will certainly continue to be an advocate for organ donations. And so George is going to speak a bit later about his efforts in this area. And George is also going to lead a walk around the legislature and a vigil after we leave here. But today, essentially, we're here today, and I'm trying to help George and trying to help Anthony and Mary, who's going to join us later, basically asking people across Ontario, across Canada, reflect on the fact is that there are so many lives that can be saved if we can just sign up and make an organ donation. It's very easy to do. You can just now go online. It's called beadonor.ca. You can do it all online. I think there's now more than 2.3 million registered in Ontario. I mean, that's the good news. There's 2.3 million registered. The bad news is that that's only 22% of Ontarians, 22%. So if we can get the other 78% to step up, especially at this time of year when everybody's thinking of giving and helping, I couldn't think of a more important gift to give people, and that is the gift of life. And you can do it by your back of your Ontario driver's license, or just go online and make that donation. It is a real lifesaver that you couldn't believe how much you would help people. And so today I'm just trying to highlight the need and some special needs, as today we're doing it in honor of two brave and very, very, again, wonderful young people that need help. They need, as Mary said in the video, need a champion to step forward. Both of the patients here today are and seek of blood type O positive, and they're going to speak. Mary, the second young mother who's in need of a liver transplant, is on her way, but someone who's made it here already is Anthony Sochi. And Anthony is a 29-year-old, was born with a rare disease called Fabry's, which attacks the heart and kidneys. Anthony is in need of a kidney transplant, and he is, again, blood type O positive. So I'm going to let Anthony say a few words and explain the need that he has and the call he's making out to everybody in Ontario for help.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I apologize. I was not well prepared. I didn't think about the emotional side of coming here today. It's been a very hectic day, another day of dialysis. At this point, I've been doing dialysis for 2 years. I'm decreasing the amount that I'm doing, not because I should be doing that, but because I simply can't continue to go and do what I need to do to live, essentially. And there is a point where I'm going to get where my body starts shutting down and won't let me eat, and that starts making a transplant fade away as an option. If I keep going down this path, I fear that I'm not going to make it out. I'm scared for the waiting for what I need. It's a very difficult process. I understand that, but unfortunately, I don't have the time to let it happen naturally the way things are going now. I need more awareness. I need more people to step up. We need people to know what's out there. And I think a lot of people want to help, but just don't even understand that it's available because we don't see it in our everyday lives. There's beyond that, I go to dialysis at the hospital 5 days a week right now. And I see other people, a lot of other people, as mentioned earlier, up about 4,000 or more people that need a kidney or other organs. And I see a lack of hope. It's a lot of people who've lost hope, and I think we need to have hope in there, or we're in a lot more trouble than we realize, and it's going to creep up on us, and we don't realize until we're in the seat where we need the help. But there's a lot of people in that seat, and I think we need to help them out as much as possible. So that's why I decided to come here today. I'm not very fond of doing all of this stuff, but I want to help everybody, and myself included, and I want to be able to advocate this getting better, our country doing better, being in the news for like how good we're doing, how many lives we're saving. I don't know what else I should
that's
be
it.
saying.
I think you said enough. Great, Anthony.
Thank you very much for having
Yeah,
me. This
okay.
opportunity, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
As I said, there's lots of people, and we need help.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anthony. And I think what Anthony I think is saying is critical is that he's saying he and thousands of others need hope. So even though again you may not be able to help directly, but by signing up online and becoming a donor, and if we can see those numbers go up over this Christmas season, you're going to give Anthony the strength and the hope that he might be helped and that others would be helped. So I think just by signing up and being a donor, you're really going to make Anthony gain more strength and give him the hope, and hopefully that one of those donors is O positive and can be Anthony's lifesaver.
That's
So
the hope.
that's our hope. And so please, that's the call we're making out today. It's an easy thing to do online. Again, the incredible amount of good you could do. You can, we use that term, making a difference all the time. You can make a life difference here. You can make a life difference by stepping up and going and being a donor. And you can give Anthony the strength to continue his fight, and hopefully someone will come along to save him and to be that donor for his kidney. I'm going to hand it over to George Marcello, who's going to say a few words now. George Marcello, again, who's been doing this for over 20 years. Again, a liver donor recipient himself, saved his life. But George has never stopped trying to help others. As I said, he's literally walked across this country, across this province. He's gotten young children involved from schools. He's gotten the police of Toronto involved. He's got me involved. So George has really been our Mr. Hope, you might say, as Anthony would know. So George, you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mike. First of all, Mike, I do want to start off by thanking you. Once again, this isn't the first time that you're stepping up to the plate to help us out, to help this cause out. And so I want to start off by saying that. But also I want to thank some other members that have been pretty active in this area. And that, of course, is Frank Cleese, who's helped bring a couple of important bills. But I also want to pay tribute to my late friend, Peter Kormos, who together, me and Peter fought many battles. And, of course, at that time, it was regarding the presumed consent model, or what I like to refer to as the Spanish model. And he's not here, but he would be here as well if he knew we were doing another event. And I'm leaving this issue or this campaign, or step by step. I'm actually stepping down from step by step. And I'm leaving with very mixed emotions. On the positive side, I've met a lot of wonderful and great people, such as yourself, Mike, and many other members in this building, media people. I've met a lot of media people over the years, right across Canada and around the world, and a lot of schools. We literally ventured into thousands of schools across Canada, and I've worked with many of them over the years. And the kids were always the inspiration for me to see them getting involved, as they are here today, which I want to recognize. We have students from Westview Westview Centennial Secondary School. It's not their first time helping out. Over the years, they've helped out many times. So we're saying that once again, Westview is here to Anthony and Mary's rescue. So they're here. They're going to carry the torch. So I have a lot of good memories. I'm not leaving, without all these good memories, but I do have something that I just, has not gotten resolved over the years, and I'm very still upset and frustrated that we are finding ourselves still in this predicament where really nothing has gotten better. And I have to tell the truth, because that's what I've been doing all these years. I've always said when there was certain things that got improved, I always mentioned it, but I've always said how things really were. And you know who wanted to hear that the most? Was the people waiting, because they know what they're going through. Anthony knows what he's going through, and 4,000 other people know what they're going through, and they're saying the same thing. Why hasn't this issue gotten better? It's not that it's not fixable. It's not that we're looking for a cure that is elusive. This has been a very fixable issue that I feel, and I'll be honest, I'll be truthful, I feel has gotten totally mismanaged by a few people. We had an enormous opportunity to tackle this issue back in 1999, and I have to reflect because I've earned this, and it's my last event. When we inspired Premier Harris to allocate $120 million into this issue, and he said that no stone will be unturned so that we will make Ontario a leader when it comes to organ donation. So everything was there. The money, the resources, everything was there, but what lacked was the right management. Of course, I'm still bitter, and I can't swallow this. People say, well, just suck it in. Well, you know what? It's not getting digested. I still can't understand why it was us that inspired Premier Harris to put the $120 million there in the first place, through the sacrifice of step by step. And I'm talking about sacrifice because walking across Canada for 769 days is not no easy feat with no budget. And I've had to put my whole step-by-step team through this. And why we weren't involved when we had all the solutions available, why we weren't involved to help out when we had the answers. And it's been 15 years that I've been coming here time and time again trying to push these things, and it's been too slow because it's gotten mismanaged. And I have to speak out on this last event because Anthony's has been a victim of that, Mary's been a victim of that, and 4,000 other people have been a victim of that. It's been mismanaged. We have to look at who's leading the charge here, and if we have to overturn the whole agency, then that's what's got to be done, because it's still the status quo. There's nothing that they're doing right now that's going to show that any improvements are going to be made, and we're just lying to ourselves if they're going to come up here and say, yes, we do got an improvement, yes, things are getting, because they're not. Yeah, and there's so many areas that need attention, that could be getting attention and aren't. So I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. I don't mean to. My heart is here to make this situation better, and sometimes somebody's got to speak up and sometimes take the flak for it, and I have been taking the flak for this as well. So I'm urging today that all the media people here are not only going to help try and save the lives of Anthony and Mary, which I'm going to continue because I promised them that I will continue carrying the torch for them until they receive their gifts. And hopefully they won't die. Hopefully I won't have to come here and do one last event that they passed away. And I will be here until then, but I'm hoping that we can take another serious look by your coverage on what exactly do we need to do, and it starts right from the top. This isn't something that starts from the bottom. You start right from the top. What needs to get fixed here? And management is the first thing that's got to be looked at. And please, if somebody does find the answer, let me know why Step by Step wasn't involved when the Trillium Gift of Life was first formed in 1999. Please, I've been asking that question now for 15 years, and nobody has come up with an answer.
Can we ask a few questions?
Sure.
I mean, you say there's mismanagement. What is the mismanagement that you're talking about exactly? I mean, people aren't, I guess not enough donors are there. That seems to be the problem. What is the mismanagement?
I'll tell you in a second, and I'll be more than happy to. Okay. Do you need to take your coat off? Are you okay?
We're joined, just if I can just interrupt for a second, if we're joined by Mary Giavendoni, who's a 43-year-old single mom who was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma due to prolonged use of immune suppressant drug therapy. She is now in the end stages of liver disease. Mary is in need of a liver transplant, and her blood type, again, is O positive, right? And we saw you on the video that George showed a minute ago. So maybe we'll let George answer that question, and then we'll let Mary say a few words. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm be more than glad to answer that. When we did our first campaigns, which was a tour right across Canada, we talked to literally millions of Canadians, including health officials, and we came up with many solid recommendations, including we were the first to actually call this issue a crisis. And to at that time, when we started, all the agencies right across Canada were getting their budgets slashed on organ donation. So that was the first step, was we increased revenue for all these agencies. The recommendations that have been mismanaged, number one, we were recommending a national registry from 1997 or a provincial registry. I want to have somebody here tell me why it took 13 years almost before a provincial registry got into place. That's number one. Number two, when we were talking about the Spanish model, which of course took a lot of discussions, that wasn't ever talked about with any of the agencies, or we were bringing facts from Europe that were never discussed. So the people that were managing these agencies, they had nothing to really talk about or nothing to show. So that was one of the recommendations. The other one was when we were talking about live donations, there was no incentive for people to become live donors. So people had to actually pay for their own expenses if they were a stranger donor. And so we were the ones that battled to get the compensation for these people that had to pay their own expenses, which is up to $4,000. And there was a whole list of other recommendations that were given to Premier Harris and that we had bought. I mean, Joe, my good friend Joe, seen me here dozens and dozens of times asking for these recommendations, you know. And whether it was Harris's government or McGuinty's government, nothing was getting through the health system to hear this, you know. And so I know for a fact that if we had a part, if I was able to work with something, that hundreds of lives would be alive today, that wouldn't have to perish.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, George. And now if I could just ask Mary, and it's Mary Giavendoni, Giavedoni. And again, Mary is someone that has bravely come here today to make that plea for a donor to help save her. And she's in obviously in a desperate situation in need of a liver transplant, right, Mary? So if you could just say a few words.
Yeah, I'm originally from Toronto, and I now live outside of Toronto. I'm in Cambridge, Ontario, and I'm in the end stages of liver disease. I had my first organ transplant at Toronto General Hospital about 20 years ago, and 3 years ago I was diagnosed due to prolonged use of immunosuppression drug therapy to keep the transplanted organ alive with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And when I underwent very aggressive chemotherapy, in the end, after 1 year, my liver went into failure. And I've been on a transplant waiting list for about 1.5 years now. And I'm looking now for a live donor. I'm blood type O positive, and it can be any male or female. And it's a sliver of an organ. Which the liver's the only organ that does regenerate. I'll explain a little bit about end-stage liver disease. On a weekly basis, I'm in the hospital for paracentesis, which is abdominal tapping. My kidneys don't function any longer, so I retain all the fluids. I'm on fluid restrictions, 1 to 2 glasses a day, and water pills. I'm jaundice, I have bile duct obstruction, varices, and I have a large portal vein thrombosis. I have been in hospital with various infections and complications due to liver disease over 28 times in the last 1.5 years, and I'm running out of time. I'm a single mother. This is the first time I've ever been off work. I graduated from University of Toronto in economics, and I've been in investments as an investment advisor my entire career. I haven't worked since this started 3 years ago, on and off, and I'm a single parent. I have a little boy at home who has no one if anything were to happen to me. So that's why I'm here today, because it's getting to be desperate for me. And I'm looking for anyone who can come forward just to be tested. And the Toronto General Hospital is like a second home to me. And if it wasn't for the transplant team at the Multi-Organ Transplant Center, I wouldn't be here today. They're keeping me alive, and they're keeping me going through their innovative methods and their caring there. And I'm very grateful to them. And I want to make mention of that because Dr. Gary Levy is my doctor. And he has been very, very good to me and my son throughout the years. And they don't get enough accolades. They're more than just a patient-doctor relationship that I have with them. They're like family, and they need more support so that they can build on this live donation program. Because right now the pool is empty. We have to bring them to the Toronto General Hospital. And that's why I'm here today. And I'm representing the over 4,000 other organ transplant people waiting and dying on this list today.
Can we ask you a question, Mary?
Sure.
You said you've been waiting for 1.5 years already?
Yeah, I've been on the list for 1.5 years.
So today we just went through some of the average waiting times, and for liver it says 5 to 6 months. Do you know, did they tell you why you're still waiting? Why you're longer than their average statistics say?
I've gone up and down on the list due to the medications that they're administering to me. I go down. I've been in the top 5 a year ago this month, and now I'm in the top 20, so it's fluid. You have to understand there's people that may not be on the list today that will be tomorrow, so that will bump me down or up accordingly, because it goes according to blood test results. So I get to have my blood tested regularly, and some months is good, some weeks is bad, some days are good, some days are bad.
Right now, you're more than twice the average time according to their,
And I'm moving up. Right now I have less than 20% liver function left. So I am moving up. But there are also others moving up, as I said. There's over 4,000 of us.
by the most serious? Is that what
The
it is?
most urgent.
You said that the pool is empty,
The live donation.
the live donation pool. So are you saying that there are no live
Donors
donors?
available? No, you have to bring them to the transplant team and have them tested and put through the testing process in order to see if they're a viable match. They don't have anyone that they can say to you, okay, you're blood type O positive. I have someone in the list. There is no list.
Can I just expand on that? Because that's why we're here. It's called the indirect donor or the stranger donor. Most people that need live donations, kidney or liver in these two cases, really have to depend on family members or close friends. And if it doesn't happen within the family or close friends, then their lives are literally dependent on a stranger. And that's on both their cases right now. Mary and Anthony's lives are dependent on a kind stranger to step forward to be their hero. And that's what Mary was referring to is the live transplant clinic does need more help. They need more resources. They do fantastic work because they're donors. We have probably the best record in the world for their donors to not be hurt by the process, to get fantastic care during and after. But they can only test so many people at a time because of lack of resources. And that's an area that we have been pounding our fists to get more help in because we know we can increase the stranger donor pool if there was more resources, but we also had something what we called the Lifesavers program, which would be an excellent initiative to probably get 100 more stranger donors involved.
So has there ever been then a live donor list in Ontario, or is this a?
No, there never.
Basically, you've got to solicit strangers to find somebody as your match. That's the only way to get a live donor.
Well, you first seek out your immediate family, and mine and Anthony's are not. I don't have a match, and then close friends, and I've had all my friends tested, and no one's a match. So then you seek out externally.
When you say no match, you mean they don't share your blood type, or is it more than that?
It's more than that.
It's also medical implications.
Yes, the blood type's the first initial step. There's a lot more involved.
And Anthony, how long have you been waiting for a kidney?
Been sick for 3 years, on the list for 2 years.
Because that kidney is a long wait, on average.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Can I say another statistics? Anthony's chances are better to find a stranger donor than to try his luck waiting for a cadaveric kidney. That's the statistic.
Like, is there any movement within the Ontario government to make a live donor transplant, like start a list for live donor transplants, or start?
I can answer that.
Do you know that, or?
Well, George, George will make a comment and then I will. George?
Okay, sure.
Go ahead, George, you go.
Oh, okay. No, there isn't a registry or any list. What I was proposing was something called the Lifesavers program, which would enable all this. And so, but presently, there isn't no list or registry. And the Canadian Blood Services, I just want to point this out, Mike. They did come up, which I supported 100%, was called the paired exchange, where if you're not of the same blood type in the family, you can still register with your loved one and then have a crisscross with another family that finds themselves in the same situation. And by having a stranger donor come forward, that causes multiple transplants, and that's called the daisy chain effect. So this is why the stranger donor is so important, and why we really need to start focusing on that. And sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right. No, and I think the critical thing is here that there are needs for a more wide-ranging resourcing and more wide-ranging maybe programs that can deal with this issue. So that's one of the reasons why we're here today, is to also bring this to the attention of the Ministry of Health, Ontario government, that we've got to work with, the incredible, as Mary said, we have the expertise here. There's no doubt about it. We have the expertise just down the street here at Toronto General and all the hospitals, and we just have to do a combination of two things, and that is we've got to look at more resources, more effective programs and derivations of programs, as George has mentioned, but we've also got to get more attention paid to this part of the healthcare system, because I think George so rightly put it, it's not just the call for donations, which are critical, but it's also the need to emphasize that this is an area of healthcare that needs to be adequately resourced and has got to be given increased attention. It's not that it isn't being given attention, we just need more. And with attention and with awareness that I'm trying to bring and George is trying to bring and we're all trying to bring here, that's our hope, is that we can do that. Because again, we have the ability. We just need to work in those two areas, and that's why I'm, George knows I'm dedicated to pushing that envelope as much as I can to get those things done, because physically, technologically, medically, we've got some of the best in the world. We do.
And why did you get involved, Mike?
Well, I basically got involved through George, George, we've had a number of people that we've brought forward, that friends that we've known, and I have friends in the sickle cell community that need this kind of help too. So it's been a wide-ranging series of people that we've run across through my association with George that have come to us for help, and so that's why I'm involved, because it's just, I don't know what higher calling there is for an elected official and try and save a person's life. So that's the way I look at it. So if someone comes to me and says, hey, listen, can you help me save my life? This is what George is saying, help save somebody's life, and that's why I'm here.
Mike, it's a very sad news that George is giving up after 18 years of fight. Do you honestly think that the McGuinty government for 9 years has supported this cause enough, honestly?
Well, I can see George's frustrations, because George has lived this through so many people. As I said, he's walked the talk. He's done it, and he's dealt with it, in such a great way. And there's no doubt that not enough has been done. But I think besides that, George knows, and George has shared this with me, there are things that could be done better. There's no doubt about it. But it's not going to be done unless the public also supports George in what he's trying to do, because George can't do it by himself. And, Mary and Anthony can't do it by themselves. So that's the other part of the equation, because the public has to be engaged in this critical issue too, in pushing government, and because, I would say government has not been pushed enough, because it gets pushed from all sides. And so that's why I've told George that we'll try and do what we can, and other MPPs have done the same type of thing, and trying to increase the number of donors. We've had some progress, as I said, the online giving, the expertise we already have, but again, we've got to push more. So I hope that explains the situation. There's more to be done, and it's not only Ontario. George will tell you, it's the same situation right across this country, where these are the things that people should pay attention to, and because they need the public's support to get this done. So to push government, because the medical expertise, George will tell you, we have some of the best doctors in the world here in Canada that can do it. So if we can get the public more engaged, government pushed, we won't have to be here pleading for this. It's not to say it's going to go away completely, but we all got to step up right across Canada. It's not only Ontario's thing, and I think George will agree with that.
Yeah, no, of course, right, and everything that Mike's saying here, he has stepped up to the plate, so I'm not pointing you out, that you've been part of the solution, you know, but I need to point something else out here, and this is a good question to ask the government or Trillium or whoever you want to go to ask. In 2001, the number of people waiting in Ontario was close to 2,000. It was 1,900 and something. Since 2001, now, before I get to that, the numbers of waiting should be increased year after year. That's how it's been the 10 years before that. From 1991 to 2001, it started from 1,200, reached up to 1,900. So the numbers increase. From 2001 to today, every year, the numbers have been decreasing on the waiting list. And I think it's just around 1,500 now, or 1,400 and something. So we have to ask ourselves, what's going on? Why is this? I mean, the numbers should be, according to the graph, should be around 2,400, you know. So is the government systematically erasing 1,000, this is close to 1,000 people? That is an important question to bring up, because does that make their statistics look better because they got a smaller number of people waiting, therefore they're going to say less people die?
Yeah,
You ever think about that?
You know, the one thing I would say that we were also expecting Dr. Gary Levy, who, you know, Mary mentioned is a lifesaver just down at Toronto General. He is, again, a person that I know, George, we've all worked with, and he has the answers to a lot of these things, and I hope to continue to, as George knows, we've got to sit down with Dr. Levy. He's got some very good proposals that we can maybe work for. Listen, I just want to say in conclusion here, the main thing here today is it's a real call for those angels out there, type blood O positive, for Mary and for Anthony. Someone out there, please, especially if you're O positive, please, this will really give us hope and going forward. And without that, all this other stuff doesn't matter. We have to have some people step up right now to help Anthony and Mary. That's what I just want to end with today. Again, I want to thank you both bravely coming here today. Mary, Anthony, thank you so much. And I know George thanks you too. And on behalf of all the other people waiting out there, you've done something for them by being here. All the,
What difference does it make when you've got, like the funeral of the police officer, Constable Zivchik? There were numerous announcements of the happiness that the family had, you know, in donating.
well, I think George is going to talk to that as we close here, but that's the kind of incredible message of hope the constable's family and he gave to all of us. And I hope that will inspire others to follow the constable's incredible example. That was wonderful. That was very, very special.
Do you see a boost in
It-
donors?
it is
Does it
good.
give you
It can't hurt, it's going to help. It'll get people to think, hey, the constable did it, why can't I? No, it's definitely a boost, eh, George?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, today we're honoring his memory with the famous Torch of Life that was blessed by Pope John Paul II. It's going to be in his memory, and so we want to show, you know, to the family that we all care what the family did, and we support it, you know, and that hopefully we can get more people.
Yeah, and now what are we gonna do, George? What's the
Yeah,
next step?
okay, so we're gonna do our one-on-ones, just outside the gallery here. You know, I feel all the media's here already, so just whatever time it takes to do the one-on-one, and then we're gonna make our way to the south end of Queens Park, where the McDonald statue is, facing College Street, to light the torch, and these brave young kids are gonna carry it around the block, down University, and then up Young Street. And Mike, you're gonna join?
Yeah, I just have to go and vote on something, and then I'll join you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll
Okay.
make our way outside.
So thank you, thank you.
Sure, sure. Joel, thank you so much for everything, by the way.